Okay, I apologize for that. I'm really sorry. I've never done one of those delay schedule things before. So I was kind of, I didn't know what the hell was going on. I apologize. Oh, man. Oh. I have to remain calm because if I don't, I'm going to yell. I'm going to throw something. I allow myself to throw an empty water bottle during the game because I don't want to break anything. Uh, and just watching them get it was Bills tried to run the ball. They didn't come out trying to run the ball though. They went 3-and-out, which was a bad. That was the first series of the game sets the tone for the entire fucking game, just like last week. Bills, start off the game, pass goes off Robert's hands, gets picked. KC's on the board 7-0. This week, offense goes 3-and-out. KC gets the ball back right off the rip. Bills get a stop, one of their few stops of the day. But every time you turn around, Edwards-Helaire, a little bit of Williams, I think. 5 yards, 7 yards, just like nothing. Bills could get nothing going in the run game. They had a couple of good runs, but no movement up front. I don't know if it's Singletary not seeing the hole, the line not opening holes, a combination of both, and it was a catastrophe. A run defense. The defensive line could not get off a block to save its life. It could not keep contained again. The one play where it was just epitomized the game where Mahomes looks like he's going to scramble out of bounds, stops, does a pirouette, and goes back upfield, almost gets the first down. And Edmonds is just, yeah, where are they, Eric? Where are they? I don't know. I'm looking for them. I set out a search party. That's what took me so long to get on here. I set a search party for Edmonds because Edmonds on the touchdown on the 4th and 1, he just goes, oh my God, he just goes into the wrong gap so fucking bad, and Edwards-Helaire just walks in for the touchdown. That opened up like the Red Sea. Um, I have to remain calm. I have to remain calm though, because otherwise I'm just gonna start yelling and just because it's so fucking frustrating to watch them and just above it all with all the bullshit. And I tweeted it with all the bullshit that happened. And the one time they get a play, Edwards-Helaire's knee is just down. Zimmer stripped that out, and his knee is down. If Bass hits the field goal before the half, they still have a chance to go down and win the game, which is unbelievable. Unbelievable. You're outgained by over 200 yards. Josh wasn't good today. He seemed off. There was drops. I thought I couldn't believe Diggs almost, he put it right in the bucket for Diggs between two defenders in the back of the end zone. I don't know if they're going to figure this out because they need to figure this out. News came down before the game. They were sitting down Phillips and Murphy. Then you're like, okay, they're sending a wake up call to the nope, didn't wake them up, put them right to fucking sleep because it was just, Andy Reid put out a clinic out there tonight. He coached his team to the conditions of the game. The Bills didn't play to those conditions, and they need to, thank God it's going to be nice here in North New Jersey when the Bills come here to MetLife and play because they need to figure out how the fuck they're going to, get themselves righted on defense. The offense, again, they weren't good tonight, and the reason they're not being good is because they can't run the ball. They cannot run the ball consistently, effectively, and teams are backing up and playing coverage. I'm not saying Allen was off tonight. He was off on several throws early, settled down a little bit, but they only had the ball 7 minutes in the second half. That tells you everything you need to know. KC ran the ball 48 times, had it 38 minutes. There 35. What you can't win a game like that. You can't win a game. And you're not going to win against a team that caliber that way. And when the defense did make plays, the next play they shot themselves in the foot. Second touchdown of the game, there's a penalty. They get them backed up. Was 3rd and 7. Poyer looking in the backfield. I don't understand this with players like Travis Kelce. when you have a player like Travis Kelce, you should have somebody just mirror him. Don't let him run for fun across the field like they did tonight. The passes he caught were devastating, and thank God Klein knocked it out, forced a fumble before the half, because they might have gotten a field goal or out of that. It was one of the few plays the defense made tonight, but the Bills offensively, they need to run the football. Maybe the Jets are the right team to fix them because they're that bad. But that's one thing the Bills they cannot be sleepwalking coming into this game. That's for fucking sure. Because the epitaph on this game was ugly. And again, with all that said, with the myriad of horrible defense, with the myriad of offensive stagnation, they still had a chance to win the game if Bass hits the field goal before the half. And I'm not going to bang on about Bass because he's a rookie. It's nasty out there. He hit a kick earlier. Saw Bucker miss a PAT. It's just, yeah, the third down defense has been bad, as Bonzolo points out. Eric Moreno, our defensive line, 0 penetration. Hughes is eaten alive. The only guy that looks like he's playing consistently well is Mario Addison. The only guy I see really doing anything worth anything up there is Mario Addison. Everybody else is just, there was one play. Oh my God, it was disgusting. You would have thought that it was the old Dallas Cowboy line from back in the early 90s with Larry Allen, Stepnowski, Nate Newton, Eric Williams, Mark Tuinei. I know that whole line by heart. They just got mauled. Oh my God. It was just terrible. All you saw was the Bills part like the Red Sea. It reminded me eerily of, the scoreboard didn't reflect it, but the way the game was played, it reminded me of the Saints game in 2017, where they just got eaten alive in the run game. They couldn't figure out how to get a stop. Maybe this is a watershed moment for the defense of this team. They can wake up, because it's been an ugly 2 weeks. The schedule changes, the not playing, the playing, the moving of games. It's just they're still a young team. They're still growing together. It's just, again, all I could do. This is my thing that I throw when I'm pissed. I allow myself to throw an empty water bottle. Otherwise, I'm going to break something valuable, and I don't want to do that. And there was moments where they could have done something, but going 3 and out as much as they did, not being able to run the ball like KC was a killer. I watch him, but he's not doing anything. He's getting, the stupid penalties Eric points out, just, and they were the one by Poyer, the one on White was a little ticky-tack because it was a little push. I've seen that happen. I can't count how many times I've watched that same exact thing happen in an NFL game, and just, it's a flag. The one on Poyer, I couldn't believe it. I was 30 yards in penalties. They had them backed up, and I think that was the same. They just hit the big play to Robinson across the field. So it's like a 40-yard play, and you flip the field. They're already in field goal range. You pretty much kill the game. And that's a drive where your defense gets a stop. You had one where it was 3rd and long right after the fumble that got recalled back. And then Mahomes scrambles. There's no contain. And, there's I think it was Pringle. He caught the big play, and that was it. That's pretty much the game, because they can run the clock down. They couldn't get a stop. They're already in field goal range. I mean, it seemed like, I'll be honest with you, it just seemed like a continuation of last week's game in a different uniform. I just disgusted. He needs to, no, these players need to start playing, Eric. These players are not playing well. We've seen these same dudes in the same uniform play well as a unit too much. They need to wake up. It's the same talent that it's the same unit that's been top 5 for the last 2-3 years, and to get gashed that way, and again with it all, just still maybe have a chance to come back if the defense A gets a stop, or B, Bass hits a field goal before the half, and then who knows. had a chance to make an interception. Norman did recover the fumble on Klein. He is 32 years old. Levi Wallace is, people knock him, but you're going to want to see him come back. I'm going to put something out there right now. I kept an eye on Trey White's back. Just the way he moved around during the game, he looked fine. He didn't look like he had any compunction. I'm just going to say this. I think he sat out last week's game because of concerns of the Titans with being COVID riddled. There was a whole thing he might opt out before the season. He didn't opt out. Then all of a sudden, they're playing the Titans, and this back happens, and he doesn't practice all week. Does take the trip. I think they just basically tried to find a way for him to not play the game. I'm going to say that right off. I firmly believe that. Gun to my head, you can't tell me different. I watched a guy out there. He was moving fine. He ran well. He had no compunction about making tackles. I don't want to say they need 40 new players, but physicality. Two guys that get knocked a lot. Now you see how valuable they are, like a Star Latulele, like a Levi Wallace, guys that are just calm, steady players. They don't do sexy things, but what they do, for the most part, they do well. And my God, how much does Matt Milano mean to this defense? How much does Matt Milano mean to this defense? I thought the same thing, Damager. I'm going to read a couple of comments here. Joe Smith, I'm telling you right now, Trey started this BS about COVID, and it caused the locker room an issue. Something is seriously going on internally. I don't know if something's going on internally, but I just think that they found a way for him to sit out the game. And that was there was the back practice all week. And then I watched him play. I even put it out. I didn't tweet it, but I told a few people that I'm like, I think he sat out this game for the COVID. Damager, I think we should run more man. The zone is good. In a wet environment like that, I wish they would have been more man, because the zone allowing a guy like Mahomes to just find a way to pick you apart, especially when you can't defend the run. They were in the Chiefs were in 2nd and 3, 2nd and 8, 2nd and 5 most all night long, unless they got a first down like that. They were in such good down and distance. It's hard to play against an offense of that quality for any defense, let alone one that's struggling like the Bills. Joe Smith, team has no juice to. Yeah, it's just they need to figure some things out internally, because whether it's players, whether it's scheme, whether it's play calls, I think it's just flat out effort. I just watch guys get beat physically. I don't think it's effort. I don't think it's just. I just think they're just not playing hard, and they're losing their one-on-ones, especially in the middle. And when they're getting chances to make tackles, they're not making tackles. They're making tackles 5, 6, 7 yards down the field. Let me show this comment from Hussein. 2 unnecessary roughness calls in the same drive. I looked at McDermott giving the players an earful. I'm telling you, if McDermott isn't like this during the game, same exact face mask, by the way. If McDermott isn't like this during the game, oh my God, the cursing that you would see. Because you could just see that going like, he was just going off under the mask. He was going off under the mask. I mean, as much as me and you were here. Eric, I thought the exact same thing. Shady Who's comment right before. Travsdale, Milano may be our best player on D. That's bad because isn't reliable to stay healthy. Him and Trey White are the best players on defense, and there's no doubt about that. Despite what Trey White, may or may not have played. Again, that's just me speculating, but I believe it. I'm not saying it's true, but I think, in my opinion, he didn't play because of that. Shady Who, this team can't not right now. And Eric, I thought the exact same thing. Wouldn't give Edmonds an option right now. Yeah, I don't know if I'd pick up his option right now. I don't know if I do that. You have to be shrewd and make shrewd decisions. I mean, I like the decision to bench Harrison Phillips and Trent Murphy because that was not a good contract. Phillips, a lunch pail guy, you got to play tough in the middle, grind, and he doesn't do any of those things. Maybe it's the ACL coming back off that. Maybe this is a wake-up call and they play better. Who knows? This is a watershed moment. Maybe we look back on this as like, hey, whatever, you play two good football teams and the game just kind of slips away from you. Last week's score wasn't indicative of the game was close at a couple of points, but either the defense couldn't get stops or something happened. Tonight, there was no penalties in the first half. The second half, they were, the stupid penalties returned. The two everybody mentions, one where it was Mitch Morris didn't get jumped off. I don't know how he did on the how does a center jump off because he's the one snapping the ball. I mean, he's always the first guy that's going to move. I don't get how the center does on the failed Josh Allen sneak. I'm going to read some comments. Zachary, a caller brought up on the One Bills Live, Trey White sitting out. Tasker said that he even had friends text him and ask the same thing. Joe Smith, why the F does Zimmer look better than Oliver? Yeah, Zimmer's playing with a lot more heart, a lot more passion. I don't get it. Maybe that knee that Oliver was wearing a brace on, he's still getting better from it. Maybe it was worse off than we all thought. But it's clear that one thing that's happened across the league, lack of preseason, lack of serious practices, padded practices, physicality has really hurt the quality of defense across the league, but especially a team like the Bills. Especially a team like the Bills. They're just not playing. This is not the same defense that we're used to seeing, and they need to get it figured out quick because we've seen these exact same dudes play lights out. Damager, if Edmonds is a true three-down linebacker, is a major disappointment. There's no doubt about that. It was even on the play to Kelsey where he reached back and caught it, looked like it might have hit the ground, but he got his hands under it, caught it. He got crossed up and just was late, didn't get his hand out up. He always just seems like he's playing late. And I don't mean to knock him because the entire defense just got blown up in the middle, and you got guys running at you full steam. They're already 3-4 yards downhill. It's just hard to play defense like that. Joe Smith, I'm worried about the lack of passion. Yeah, it's just again, you can't run the ball. You're playing behind the sticks. I'm not worried about Allen so much. I just think the entire team is not playing well right now. It's not just a one, but he said himself he can't afford to play well. He was off tonight. I'm not going to lie. He was off early. It was nasty out there. You can't run the ball. You're second and long all night long, third and long. That's not a good recipe. Hussein, we're not ready, man. This team is too inconsistent. Right now, they're too inconsistent, and the identity is that they're inconsistent. The defense isn't playing well, and they have to the offense has to play like it did the first 4 weeks to win games. That's the identity right now. Razier, I'm torn on paying Milano. Obviously, we need him, but he's so injury prone. He's a good player, man, and he's a guy that this team needs. And injuries happen. I think he'll be on the field this week against the Jets, and the Bills do need him. And I would pay him because you see how valuable he is to this team. He's valuable. I think he gets guys lined up. I think he's athletic. He's a matchup guy. He's a timely blitzer. He's a sure tackler, and this defense needs those kind of guys in abundance. At least I don't think they're gonna. I don't think after these two performances, people might say the Jets is a trap game. I don't think so. I think this team is going to come out ready to play. That's just my opinion. I know after tonight, not last week, they're going to come out ready to play. And they need to have a very definitive game next week. A nasty game in the sense that they're just going to put a beat down on a really bad team. And we can take it for what it is. You play who you play on your schedule. So I'm not going to make any apologies if and when they win next week. Eric Moreno, I want to see this team be a legit Super Bowl contender. Yeah, I'd like to too. I just don't think that they're at that point yet. I think they're there, but they're just not quite there yet. They're just not quite there yet. Travsdale, right, because our continuity is way off this season. It's just off. And we're starting to see who the valuable players on defense are. It's Milano. Trey White is still a tremendous player for this team. And Levi Wallace is a lot better than people ever gave him credit for. And so is Starr. Because I think Starr allowed everybody else on the defensive line to play freely. He didn't care about just sticking his nose in there, playing tough, and just holding up blocks while guys ran around and made plays. And those kind of dudes aren't available. Now, he's not going to come back this year, so they have to make do. Maybe I don't think so. They played well when they had to. It's just I just think an entire they're not playing well. I'm making no excuses. I just think this team for who they are, no preseason, no type of continuity in terms of padded practices, physicality. That it's lacking right now, and you could see it. We're watching it, and not all defenses are playing well. I mean, it's across the league. Bowman, what's the deal with us? Draining the third quarter clock when it's 3rd and 1. Bills were down 2 scores. Gabe Keys, I just really there's encouraging signs where they just go and they score a quick touchdown like on the Beasley one, and then there's times where it's like, look, you need to put a drive together, whether it's 3 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever, and then it's been off. So they need to get some things figured out. I didn't see much of Damager says B. Cox made a play. I didn't see much of him. I saw him run on off the field a couple of times. Thomas Genovese, I think it's God. I couldn't imagine a loss against the Jets, who seem to be purposely losing. I already looked at the weather. It's going to be beautiful here in North New Jersey, so I think that they should, they shouldn't face what they. But still, you play in that weather. You're going to play in rough weather in Buffalo. Your identity, your team, when these type of games happen, and you saw KC, they didn't throw a lot. They threw when they needed to throw. They had good down and distance because they ran the ball well, and that was it. That was the formula. That there wasn't anything special in what they did. They just won physically, period. They didn't win with scheme. They just won physically, and the Bills lost physically, period. And they need to wake up and stop that. Joe Smith, I have an Edmonds jersey. I feel bad for him. I'm pissed. That's why I don't buy jerseys, man. I just don't buy jerseys. Hussein Allen had the deer in the headlights look on his face. I just think he looked off. I don't know if it was. I don't think it was the wet ball. I think he just missed. Like he was aiming instead of throwing. Like the first few weeks, he was just letting the ball go. This time, he was trying to aim them. And again, just not being able to run the ball and getting better down and distance. I just think that's bad. And I'm not saying that they need to be a running team, because I still want to see him throw, but they didn't have the ball much. They didn't get first downs. And when they did have the ball, it was constant, 3rd, 2nd and longs that they just weren't going anywhere. I like when Allen, spreads the field out. He's a threat to run. They're in 4 wide receivers. And they just go. Ricio Ali, Allen had the momentum going into the 4th quarter. The defense needed to make a big stop to give Allen an opportunity to make a comeback. Well, they didn't, and it was lost on them. Eric Marino, no depth at corner. If Teron Johnson is struggling, Poyer looked bad on the first. Yeah, he was looking in the backfield, and it's just like I said it earlier. When you have a Travis Kelce, I don't give a shit what your responsibility is on defense. You see him, just stand by him. If he catches it over you, he mosses you, whatever. Just stand by him and at least, try. Joe Smith, Cody Ford is close to a bust category. He's getting his manhood taken. Again, the whole offensive line is just not getting a lot of movement. They need to wake up. I mean, both sides of the ball, both offensive line, defensive line, they just need to wake up. They're just not getting any movement. And You can't run the ball, you can't stop the run. It's just it's corny. It's corny, but it's true. It's old school 3 yard in a cloud of dust football. Only this it was 5, 6, 8 yards in a wet rainstorm. That's all they got tonight. It was just on a loop. Every time I looked up, Edwards-Helaire he would just be 5 yards down the field like that, and it was no problem whatsoever before the first Bill met him or he was running through a tackle. Your ruse, ma'am, I wonder what makes players like Edmonds and Teron Johnson regress the way they have. It really is just a lack of preseason. Curious to see. I think it just affects different players differently. I know Edmonds had the shoulder. I just think it affects different players differently. John Brown was limping around. I only saw him come off the field once. I didn't see him limp. I don't know. I saw him out there for most of the game. He was out there to the end. So, I mean, if he was injured on a wet field, I think they would have kept him out. But I only saw the one time. I remember, you guys remember we saw Tyreek Hill. He ran a play. He got stopped, and he kind of like did a limp and just handed the ball back to the ref. And then he ended up coming back in. So maybe, a cramp, something just, little things happen. You're like, oh, that's damage or any word on Ford. He got injured. Nothing yet. I know that his return, he didn't go back in the game. Eric, it just seems like that they're just not playing physical. They're not, it's not that they're fooling teams. Nobody was fooled what KC was going to do tonight. It's just they're not moving anybody, and the Bills are getting moved a lot. The unsportsmanlike smile kind of really pissed me off. 30 yards. I think it was like, I don't know how long the Robinson pass play. It seemed like it was 20 yards, and then they were on the 30, and that was it. Bills third down D. Yeah, the third down D is bad. Yeah, but he's been in the league 3 years. When you're in the league 3 years, Edmonds has to start, doing something. But I think in front of him, nothing's happening either. And maybe they're trying to do too much. I'm just scrambling for answers. I think a lot of us could have ran through some of those holes. There was just one that was just horrible. I'm not even going to go back and watch the game, but I saw that, and KC was playing a bunch of no names up there. I was looking at their line, and I was like, yeah, maybe the Bills can make some hay against this team. They're missing a few guys. Mitchell Schwartz supposedly had a little injury. Was a little dinged up. I was like, okay, maybe they no such luck. Travsdale, we got no pressure, and Mahomes had time to extend play. Yeah, and it just seems like they were caught in between. Do I hit him? Do I not hit him? And I've seen that so many times. The one where he pirouetted on the sideline, he was going to run out of bounds. He spun around and ran forward. It's like, even when these guys have a clear shot to just kill a quarterback, they're not doing it because they don't know if they're going to get flagged. They just need to play and stop thinking. They're a bunch of guys that I can tell they're thinking too much instead of just playing. They're thinking and they're reacting. They're not just sure about what they're doing and playing with any conviction. Who's saying I feel bad for us as fans? I mean, a 4-2 team, they're first in the division. They have 2 division games coming up, I think, against very beatable teams that they can bury in the division and make it hard for them to come back, have a game up. So these 2 games coming up are big, and if they're not up for these games, then the second Milano, everyday flash, the second Milano comes in, Klein goes right to the bench. Damager a few times, only rushed 4, dropped everyone back, and I just think the way that they played, they didn't want to get anything put over the top of them. But when it's a wet, rainy night, you have to, play man and just go at them. And they didn't do that. They just kind of sat back and let KC come at them, and that was the wrong game plan. That was just a complete wrong game plan. You might see Teron Johnson get cut. They need to fucking play and stop thinking. That's right. Um, yeah, his Joe Smith. I keep seeing Edmonds hit the wrong run fits. Just keeps looking like a person who's not. Yeah, it was more than once, but the one where they ran in for the touchdown, where was nobody touched Edwards-Helaire, I believe. He just went right through the wrong hole. He stopped, he stood, then he went, and then it was on the left. He went in the one in the middle. Eric, way out coach on both sides of the ball. Either coordinator made any adjustments. Dable could have called more plays to help his struggling. Well, when they were trying to run the ball, I think they were trying to do that, but they couldn't. And maybe I don't know if it's movements. I don't know if it's motors not hitting the hole hard. Is he dancing too much? This team was on Le'Veon Bell for a reason. I was surprised Yeldon played decently last week. I was surprised he was inactive. They brought Moss back in. He had a couple of strong runs. Didn't do much, but the one time he fought through and got a first down. He's still a rookie. He only played his third game. So again, I just think, especially on defense, they're thinking too much. And on offense right now, they're playing, they're not playing in good down and distance situations. With that, they're still, bet a much better offense than they were last year. Who's saying I already got my playoff itch scratched in 2017? I don't care about making the playoffs. It's all about advancing in the playoffs. I don't need to see a team playing good when the nation is watching. I want them to play a lot better than this. Damager McDermott needs to take back play calling. I don't know if it's play calling. I just think it's guys just not playing well. It's not play calling. I think guys are not playing well. They're not playing well. Period. They're not playing as a group. Veterans making dumb mistakes, taking dumb penalties, not winning one-on-ones. Every issue you can write on a piece of paper. Not tackling. Bills have every issue. Not pressuring the quarterback. Can we continue? It's just that's what they are right now. That's what they are on defense. Yeah, that's the crazy part. If as bad as they played, Bass hits a field goal, they have a chance to drive down and win, even giving up a field goal to KC late. Eric, if we had more cornerback depth, I would cut Norman. He's too slow. I think he plays the game with his mind now. I don't think I think he's an instinctive player. He gets on balls. He punched a ball out against the Rams. He's a depth corner. I don't think he's a guy you want starting for you. I think that in his role, he's just playing out of his role right now. They ideally don't want him starting. Oliver, just the whole defense, man. I mean, it's easier to pick on the high draft picks, obviously, but I mean, guys like Epinesa, guys like Oliver, they bring in Butler, Jefferson, they pay Hughes a little bit. They got to figure something out because these are the guys. These are your dudes. It's not like the patchwork unit of 17. This is your team. I know Starr held out or not. He opted out because of the pandemic, but that's no excuse. This is the group you paid. You paid Murphy. He's inactive tonight. I mean, come on. So this has to be a wake-up call. The safeties were playing back a lot, man. They were 20, 22 yards. I was watching Hyde and Poyer. They were off the ball. They came up a little bit here and there, but for the most part, they were playing so far off the ball. It was crazy. What's up, Trevor? How are you, man? Bowman, it starts up front 4 on D. KC's defensive line stifled the pressure. Mahomes, Helaire, Williams, whoever got the ball. I mean, even Thompson, they're like third running back, got a couple of carries for decent yards. So it wasn't Edwards-Helaire is talented, but it wasn't anything special. They just lost up front. It doesn't look like the same team from last year on defense, that's for sure. But that's the frustrating part is we've seen this team play good team defense and play really good elite defense, and they're just disciplined, tackle well, run to the ball, you name it. We've seen all of that, and it's just all gone. in the span. I mean, I think they played one good half of football all year. I mean, they played a good half of football against the Jets. The first half, week 1, they played a good. They played a good. I'm sorry, third game, first half against the Rams, which is an explosive offense, and they made some key stops and forced a few key turnovers in some games. Like in the Dolphins game, they got a key stop late, went down and scored. The Raiders game, they got a few stops, forced a few turnovers, and that's a Raiders team that just beat KC. That's the frustrating part is the Bills can compete, they can play with these teams, but when they're not playing well or not firing on all cylinders, like any team, you're going to lose. It looks a lot worse on the stat sheet when you look at 250 yards rushing, 35. You would think the team and the way the game felt, it felt like they were down 20 all night. Yet they were only down 1 score, 2 scores. It's just so frustrating to watch them lose like that. It's so frustrating. But he got everyday flash. Everybody got upset at Diggs. He walked back because he had ran a go like 45 yards downfield. Maybe he's a little winded. He's been out there running all night. He got set for a second, and then they threw the flag because he wasn't set. So I just think it's a stupid penalty to call at that point in the game. I don't know why they did that. Everyday flash, the team isn't disciplined, coaching and culture in question. I can't stand Hughes giving away the corner. 10 yards. Again, everything you can write down as a problem is a problem right now. Yeah, Oliver's pissing me off too. I just the whole defense is just, it looks like a shell of itself. It looks like a team that just, I don't know. I'm happy they're 4-2. I'm happy they're 4-2. I'm happy they're first in the division. I'm happy there's 10 games left. I'm happy that we've seen this team take steps offensively. I'm slightly still hoping, because we've seen this team play good team defense for 3 years, can figure it out with the same coaching staff, with the same scheme. It just seems like all the stuff that's happened in the last 2 weeks, granted they played 2 quality opponents. They, one on the road, one at home, both games scheduled, moved. I maybe that affected them too, just as much as anything. You've got, it's just a mess. When you have a game moved here, canceled, then a game moved up, then another game moved up, and these guys are wired a certain way, and it's just, and they look like they're feeling the brunt of it. I don't know if Zimmer starts, but I think he's going to get some playing time. I think he'll be up next week. They gave me something for a second. Like, I felt if the Bills could have got that cheap 3 at the end of the half, tied the game, winning it, I felt encouraged by that. But when they missed that field goal, they start the game 3-and-out after getting the ball. They went up 3-0. They got this first score of the game. It's not like they weren't ever in the game. They just got whipped up and down the field. They did get a couple of stops. They did make some good special teams plays, but all in all, it wasn't good enough. Offensively, it wasn't good enough, and defensively, it definitely wasn't good enough. And coaching too was not good enough. Hussein, I don't know why Bills fans want a stud tight end so bad as long as Daboll is the OC. I think they do want that. I think, you have Knox injured. Croft is just kind of, he's an okay guy to have around. He catches a pass here and there, but they need it. I think they'd like Knox to be that guy, but inconsistent with drops and injuries. They have to figure that out too. They have to figure that out. Why were we trying to run the ball so much? I think they were just trying to get in better down and distance situations, and they just didn't. They just got no movement. Motor didn't hit the hole hard. It was just a perfect storm of shit on both offensive line, defensive line. I mean, I'd like to have some explanation otherwise, but it's not. That's all it is. Physical one-on-one losses across the board. That's what was frustrating about it. Trevor sucks because Allen has been so good this year, and then they get, yeah. I mean, they're still a 4-2 team, and they're gonna have to get better quick because these next two games are huge. The Jets are still a division opponent, and a win there's big. The Patriots are the Patriots still, no matter what. And if you win that game, you bury them, and you're 6-2 at the halfway mark. So these next new games are huge. They're huge. And if after these 2 weeks, if it's not a wake up call for this team, nothing will be a wake up call. So I have to trust that it will be a wake up call. Do I think over the Titans outbreak, fans called him out? I don't think so. I don't think so. Guy's a professional. The team just paid him. He's going to be here long term. I don't think so. Yeah, it just seems like certain guys have just, they just need to snap back into playing football. It's week. It's going to be week 7. Time to go. If you're not started now, when are you going to start? He got drafted before Epinesa. He went in the 30s. I made a whole video about him. If you guys remember. Hussein, every day, Diggs drop, Browns drop, Croft look like all over again. Hopefully Feliciano will help the run game. Yeah, I think he'll be back this week. If I'm not mistaken, I really do think Feliciano will be back this week. Damager, we started to make it a habit of letting other teams have the last possession at the second. Yeah, that's the bad part. But this time the Bills got it. They got a turnover, albeit with 6 seconds, and they had a chance to hit a field goal. Kickers make 50-plus yard field goals like nothing. So they had a chance to get a cheap 3 at the end of the half, and they didn't, and that really ended up hurting them. And, that kid's got to start making kicks. I mean, he made one tonight, made his extra points, but he's got to make kicks. Bills boot camp, I think we're just a carbon. I think this is a copycat league. We need, just play. Just play. Make them run laps and gassers. I don't know if they can do that with the Players Association, but you can make them do a little something here and there, but I don't think you can go that far. Trevor, the one drive they scored in the 4th, they moved right down the field. Yeah, it seemed like when they hurried it up, they spread it out. They played better, instead of huddling, instead of thinking too much, just go out there and just, put the defense on their heels and go. But you can't always play offense like that. You're going to have to slow the game down, speed the game up, control the game. And again, when you can't run and teams can just back up and force you to just, pick and poke at them underneath, and Allen was running a little bit more tonight. I did like seeing that. I like seeing him to use his legs. He didn't do, again, they only had the ball for 7 minutes in the second half, and what are you going to do with 7 minutes? They had one touchdown drive, and I think the rest of the possessions were 3 and out. The laces were in a good spot. Damager, I watched the laces. I didn't even watch the fucking kick. I just watched the laces, and they were good. Bojorquez had a good night, and that's not good. When your punter was one of the best players on the team tonight, that's not good. Man, I'm just disgusted, guys, because that was really just a terrible, defensive performance, a demoralizing performance. And I don't like to see the Bills lose any kind of game, but when I've said this so many times, that way, getting the ball run on you like that just disgusts me. That disgusts me to no end. It makes me absolutely fucking sick. I ran around today. I rushed. I planned my whole day around, trying to get home early to watch the game. And it was bad. Everyday flash. Allen missed quite a few today. I hate excuses, but raining and his shoulders, obviously. I don't think his shoulder's bothering him because he ran well. He doesn't seem to be favoring at all. I just think the game plan in terms of not committing, like getting anything going in the run game other than him. Maybe there's something to the team looking at Le'Veon Bell. Maybe they didn't feel like they're getting enough out of Singletary. We saw Singletary get sat down a little bit for Yeldon last week. So yeah, I mean, again, the whole team in certain areas has to just wake up and start playing much better, much better. That's offensively and defensively. Allen said it after the game. You know, he's got to play well for the team to win. You're not going to win games in this league scoring 16 and 17 points, and that's the truth. You got to score mid-20s and above to consistently win in this league. Yeah, I don't know. I sent out a search party for Jerry Bootcamp and Oliver and a lot of guys. I just don't know where they're at right now. And I've never heard of that guy, Joe Smith. Basically, I have never heard of that offensive lineman. He just, again, it was disgusting. They just got mauled up front. It doesn't matter who it was. Remmers, didn't matter who they had up there. I saw Remmers fucking just knock, I believe it was Addison, right out of the hole and turn him around. And it was just it was like the Red Sea parting. Eric, I just can't believe how bad this defense has been. It's just quick, they don't get quick stops. They let teams go on long drives. They give up, bad third downs, long third downs. They're not getting their hands on balls. They're not batting balls at the line of scrimmage. They're not making quarterbacks uncomfortable. Again, everything you can think of is what you think of, what you can think of. And I already know, like, how you see a team play and you talk about the draft. I already know this team is going to draft a corner and offensive and defensive linemen. I already know that. We already know that. We're all sitting the game. Yep, we need to get defensive linemen, offensive linemen, and we need a corner already. Like, we know that. Even if Norman Hyde, even if Wallace is healthy, you draft a corner. But they need, it's clear, interior offensive linemen and defensive linemen who can make defenses. And that's sad if you just have Oliver. And it's early in the season. Things change. Maybe they get the ship righted. But they need much better play out of guys they invested money and draft picks in. That's a top 10 pick in Oliver. Maybe the knee was worse than we thought. Maybe he played through something. The knee braces have been offered. It'll be 3 weeks. The Jets game. Maybe he weren't rounds into form. Maybe Phillips and Murphy sitting tonight is a wake-up call to everybody in terms of, like, any of us can get benched. Any of us can get put on the scrap heap. It doesn't matter. I don't think it should take that much. Milano comes back. Then Wallace comes back the week before. Maybe this team could figure it out. Maybe they can figure it out. Again, we've seen them play good before, so it's just a mystery to me, just like it is to the rest of you, why they're playing this way, and it's not a good way. Either way, I don't care if it's the Jets they're playing this week, or they're playing the Steelers, or they're playing the Titans again, or the Chiefs again. They need to play better. Period. People, if they go out and beat the Jets, what's going to happen? Oh, of course, because that team sucks and everybody beats them and it's not a good win. I don't care. You play who's on your schedule, and that's it. That's all you can do. Team has no control over that. Otherwise, every team in the league would schedule the Jets every week. Damager Star looks like a huge loss. Just just run downs, letting guys play free, playing physical. Yeah, he definitely does right now. Jets win, and it's 2008 all over again. We'll see. We need a W bad. And if again, 2 weeks against that opponent, I don't care. You go out and you win that game. You go out this week and you win that game. And you just don't win. You win it. You go out and put a demoralized team with a bad coach, with a bunch of injuries, very little talent. You just put them through the wood chipper on every side of the ball. You just go out and decimate them. That's it. There's no excuse. There's no excuse to not do that. You've had your clock cleaned for 2 weeks. You beat yourself with dumb penalties. Defense has been gashed. One in the pass, one in the run, long third down conversions. You go out against that team and you just ask them from whistle to whistle, period. No excuses. If they don't crush the Jets, I'm seriously worried. Well, of course. I mean, then it's time to panic. Yeah, Moss looks a little like he's late to the hole. He looks a little slow. I don't know what it is. This is only his third game, playing, his first game back after injury. But even Singletary, man, Singletary hasn't been lighting the world on fire. The O-line is not getting any movement, and they need to figure what the hell's going on. And what the hell's going on is they're getting beat, and they need to stop getting beat. You can't be you can't play professional football and week in and week out get physically beaten like that. No, Dobson was out there. Klein just played. Klein played. Dobson was only on special teams because I noticed that right away. Klein was on defense all night. And I'm not absolving the linebackers of anything, but the defensive line got ran over. I think most linebackers would have had a hard time doing anything, but Edmonds is always going to get stink because he's a first round pick, a guy they traded up for. So he definitely needs to, figure out what's going on with himself because his leverage, his pad level, he's a little tall. He needs to get to guys and put them on their ass. And, and he's an athlete. I don't understand why he's just regressed. Yeah, our guards are not playing well. They're not holding up at the point of attack. I noticed Ford got beat really bad on an inside. I believe it was Ford. He got held up by Chris Jones, and it was just an easy run stop. It was just terrible. We do well on first and second down. Yeah, even when we do that, it's just like third and long. I have no confidence in third and long situations. None. I have no confidence. The team gets a team in third and 8, third and 9, third and 10. I'm like, they're gonna pick this up, and they need to figure it out. It's just too frustrating to watch. And the few times they get stops, the team, offensively goes and gets 3 and outs, and it's just gonna continue to snowball downhill. Like last week, they couldn't get stops on defense. The the Titans went on that long drive before the half. They got backed up again late, really long, and then they went on another long drive. I think they had 2 drives of 90+ yards. Just, you can't win that way. Epinesa needs to be playing. This is a guy, he played at Iowa. He played at a physical conference. He's a young guy. Get him on the field. Get him on the field. Oh, the one where he pirouetted Trevor, yeah, that was just devastating. I couldn't stand that. That was fucking disgusting. 3rd and 50, yep, first down. Yeah, that's the way I feel right now. That's how I have no confidence. Agent of Chaos, do you think has a bad coach? The players not making plays, man. That's all it is. To me, it's players. You can have a great scheme. Jamie Nails was terrible. Will Wolford, now, he was really good. He could play every offensive line position except center, because I remember he was a left tackle with the Bills. He was a guard a little bit. He played with the Colts. I think he played a right tackle with the Colts. Then he played a little bit of guard with the – he was a great player, man. One of the guys they lost during when free agency first came out, and they lost him, I believe, in 92, 93. Can we call Luke Kuechly? Nah, he's done, man. Yeah, I think they need to mix it up. They're relying too much on the zone. They need to go to more man and challenge teams, challenge quarterbacks to make throws, and again, anything to just try to freshen up a look, because it's clear other teams know it's a heavy zone scheme, and they're just going to try to go in the voids, or just their quarterback. The defensive line's not getting any pressure. They're not tackling well. Quarterbacks are breaking contains, scrambling, making plays, finding guys open downfield. There's only so long you can cover in this league. You got 3 seconds, and that's it. And somebody's going to break open. if you don't cover somebody. Saranio played tonight, but he's not good enough to play Milano's role. He made a play earlier. I think it was on the first series that KC had. He made a play on Kelsey, of all people, and that was the third down stop. But after that, I saw him on special teams. I think he can play. I just think he's more like a nickel safety or a dime safety. I don't think he's a starting. He's a linebacker of any kind. I don't think he's big enough. Milano is just really, really vital. Really, really vital. Vital in the run. He's vital as a blitzer. He's vital, not even just as, sacks, just making a quarterback, have to rush his decision right away or move something. He creates turnovers, something. It's unfortunate because he can't stay healthy. He's been dinged up a little bit this year. The shoulder, the pec. He was practicing this week, which is encouraging for this upcoming game. I think he'll be out there, and they need him out there. I don't care against who they're playing. They need Matt Milano on the field. They need to get Levi Wallace back the following week. They need this defense to wake up and play physical. And it's just frustrating to watch them play that way, because they know that these are good teams. They should be up for these games. You got a team come into your place, and it's clear hurts this team more than a lot of teams. And I'm gonna say, what hurts them? Not having us, not having Bills fans in that stadium making noise, screaming, yelling, jazzing this team up, getting this team emotionally charged, ready to play. And you see it in soccer. There's no fans in these soccer stadiums. There's no singing overseas. There's no momentum. It's just flat. There's no atmosphere. And granted, there's a lot of teams in the league that don't draw fans. The Jets don't draw fans. The Giants aren't drawing fans anymore. But having no fans in these stadiums, and then some, you look at Dallas tonight, they have like 25,000 people there. Tennessee, 10,000 people. Miami has, I think they're upping their what is going on here? It's just, it's past the point of ridiculous, and it's frustrating. It's like these states, and it's clearly political because all these states have different rules. I mean, like, this thing doesn't care about rules, right? It doesn't care about that stuff. So why? That's just disgusting to me. And I just think it's just not having fans in these stadiums is really hurting. And it's hurting the aesthetic of the game, and it's hurting teams, and it's clearly hurting the Bills. It's hurting, just the juice that they would get on third downs, making opposing teams jump off sides or false start, uncomfortable stuff, Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into it either, but it's hurting everybody, and it's affected a lot of people. My aunt in particular, I'll just tell you a quick story. My aunt in particular, and if you guys need proof, it's just not a story. I can verify it with photos and everything. She couldn't see her psychologist for over 2 months, and, they couldn't renew her medication. She couldn't get in contact with anybody from the Medicaid office because the office was closed. They were strictly doing everything by email, and nobody would answer the emails. It was just a complete situation. And then she just, a couple other things happened personally to her. And then she, went and tried to commit suicide back in May. She didn't come home, didn't know where she was, called the Christ Hospital ER. She was there. They found her in the back of a Burger King parking lot, attempted suicide. So she's better now though. And it's really, it's a terrible situation for a lot of people. A lot of people have lost jobs. A lot of people have been evicted, but she's better now. So that's the point. So thanks for listening to that. But yeah, the fans not being there on every level, the fake crowd noise sucks. The fake crowd noise is terrible. Like, you pan back and see an empty stadium. Bills fans filled the stadium for losing teams for almost 2 decades. Now it's just terrible, to see the game look like, you know what this looks like. If you guys go watch the old USFL, they had star players. They just didn't draw any fans. They drew no fans. You'll go back on YouTube and watch those old grainy USFL games. There's nobody there. Even some old sporting events like you watch from the 80s and the 70s, it was a different world then. People did other things, spent more time with their family. They didn't really go to, and they're empty stadiums across the board. Bowman Bills fans, best fans out of Packer fans, best fans on Fox this year, would have won last year too, but the Titans spent money to cheat. Yeah, they're disgusting. I can't stand them. It's but I really appreciate you guys listening to the story. It's just a very frustrating time for a lot of people, but all in all, they're 4-2. They have a game this Sunday. I'm gonna vomit about this loss like the rest of you guys probably for the next day or two, and then I'm gonna start thinking about the Jets. I get a 48-hour rule to be pissed off, and I'm just disgusted by the way they played the last 2 weeks. The league yinging and yanging them didn't help, but they didn't go out and give a good account of themselves either, and they have to figure that out because the defense has only put together. I don't even know if they put together a good game this year. They put together one good half, two good halves. First one against the Jets, first half against the Jets, and then the first half against the Rams. They put together a good second half against the Raiders. They only allowed one scoring drive, I believe, against the Raiders. Gave up a cheap one late. So I think that they're again, we've seen this team play too good, too much for it to be this bad and stay like this. Yeah, Shady Who, tell me why we can't have fans. Why can't others people have fans, but yet others, like, it knows borders? Don't these people don't believe in borders, right? But it knows not to go to New York. It knows to go to New York, but it doesn't come to Jersey. There's no fans in Jersey, but other places have fans. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. Because of the flu, that's when they're going to start scaring people because of the flu. Wait till the flu, it's going to scare people. But all right, guys, I'm sorry to rant. I'm sorry to bitch and moan about this other stuff, but thank you for listening to me. I appreciate it. Love you guys. Yeah, right. At least they're at less than 1%. Thank you for waiting on me. I had never done a room delay before. And then I got caught up listening to Allen and McDermott, and then I was just like, how do I get this to go? Then I finally found the place to go and go back on live because it was just in this little box that I couldn't go. It was just a shitty night for all of us. Shitty Monday, way to kick our week, kick us in the balls for the rest of the week, right? So we have to sit and chew on this till Sunday. Fuck. Hopefully I'm making a better video on Sunday, guys. Love you, brothers. Appreciate it. You guys make this room. I just come here. You guys really make it what it is. You listen to me for whatever reason, and I appreciate it with all my heart. Thank you. Go Bills.